The pain went away as a vision appeared, of myself gelded into the tarmac by a test-driven Ferrari, on me in a red streak ere I could claw myself to the haven of the grass verge. After some seconds, I got up, crossing to a small woodside tree, holding on to it for support, while trying to calm myself. Du calme, du calme. There's nothing you can do about death of the ego panics. They just get worse and worse. The warning of the ice light indicator ending in a black terror migraine of the soul. I thought, as I clutched the sapling that would outlive me, of the only other person I'd known who'd experienced the black dog on the grand scale, a very bright man with a pork-pie head who lived in Shakespeare country and wrote badly. At that moment, I wished he were around, a sympathy, though it wouldn't help, nothing did, always useless. That's why Sam liked to see me, a sympathy. Still feel the same, Nick, huh? He'd had his first question ready and been happy with the answer. No other words needed to be interchanged. We both knew. Cold death sweat on my body in the baking afternoon, a flat voice sang again chill lines of Larkin. Most things may never happen, this one will, and realization of it rages out in furnace fear when we are caught without people or drink. Courage is no good. It means not scaring others. Being brave lets no one off the grave. Death is no different whined at than withstood. Leaving go of the tree, I set off slowly. Booze helped. Taken early enough, it helps just to know it's there. But knowing there was none, and with the nabob of nihilism set momentarily to be sprung like a red demon from his jack-in-the-box cement trap in the middle of a wheaten nowhere, was quite enough to prime the lid for flipping. I turned a corner, and there it was, the grey wall and the gateway to Sam's little acre. I slipped through and went to stand in the middle of the grass patch. There was no sign of life from the bunker. The outside seemed smaller than when I'd left it, the walls appearing to creep in on me like Tolkien's Ent forest. The black dog had me at bay, and the dwindled outside had become a surrealistic shoebox, green bottom and grey sides. I couldn't go in the house. Where they were, God alone knew. In the awful silence, I knew I would never survive the afternoon. I lay down on my back and looked at the sky. The clouds were high nimbus, and there was one shaping of them I couldn't look away from. I tried, but couldn't. It was massed in the form of a huge accusing head, three-quarter profile, but swinging my way, though it wasn't moving. It remained unchanging, the height, and I couldn't shake its image, was drawn to it, paralyzed, until I felt I would hallucinate, or begin screaming as the infant Chesterton had, seeing the head of Memnon in the British Museum. Jolt in the gut got me to my knees, my feet, and I ran to the wall, tracing it round to the back shed, where I stood and stared at the garden tools, the car steering wheel and the license plate, trying to force myself back to the reality of the material world, but they wouldn't come into focus. Nothing worked, and I never knew how many times or for how long I'd unceasingly walked the perimeter, the black dog at my heels, before a door opened and a cry issued from the bunker. It was Sam. "Have you been amusing yourself, Nick?" This as he came close, slowly across the garden. "You could say that, Sam." Not much to do here, huh?" "Not really, no." "How do you feel, Nick?" "Probably like I look," I thought, "a dishevelled innocent under indictment, wild-eyed and knackered." "Okay." Said Sam, the ice blues never for a moment fooled. "We'll be going out soon, Nick." "When?" a close-to-shouted word. "In about a half hour. There's a birthday party for a painter friend of mine. You and John can stay the night there. There's no room here." I nodded, serious. Separate bedrooms, I trusted. "Uh-huh," I said. The painter's name was Henri Haydn, who lived a few miles off, and the half-hour wait was a desperate, protracted longing for release from bunker flat and re-delivery back into the real world. I was standing by the gate when at last Sam appeared with John. "Are you ready, Nick?" "You should be," interjected Calder. "He said all afternoon to laze around in." It was bad comment, flippant and sterile. Très anglais. I ground my thumbs. "You humdrum cunt," I thought, wanting to throttle him there and then 3 feet east of the Eden shoebox, hissing, "Enjoy this with Ike." "Come with me, Nick," said Sam, and set off along the outside wall. I followed, noticing then that you couldn't see inside the place unless you were to go plus box. and we came to rest at the asbestos shed, Sam undoing the doors, which swung back to reveal a motor car, if that's what it could be called, one of those prefabricated tin-can Citroens. As it coughed into life and was reversed out, I thought as Sam closed the doors that it might have been assembled by Heath Robinson after tea many martinis. Seconds later we clattered off to join the painters' party, the car held together with wire and string, a half-collapsed chicken coop on wheels. The rattling and juddering multiplying my own trembling, I was on the cusp of total panic meltdown. I glanced shakily at the driver, a bespectacled eagle in the guise of Connemara grandma, staring through pebbled glasses at the road ahead, silent and unmoving, except for the taloned hands upon the wheel. We were moving at a pace which seemed beyond the abilities of the driver to control, he being half-blind, and surely beyond the capabilities of the ramshackle bastardized contraption to possibly stay together. For those who enjoyed their Thurber, a ride with Olympia wasn't in it. "Sam," I squawked to a large deaf ear. "Deaf as well as blind," the Disney voice lilted in my head. The wind whistling through the improvised frame, I had to shout like navigator to pilot in flying machine days. "Sam!" I shrieked, with a force which jerked the talons, sending a shudder through the wreck, the Connemara foot pressing down even harder on the throttle and making us go even faster. "Huh?" The face remained set, dead ahead. "Sam, whatever the French is for pub, we must stop at one. I'd quite forgotten auberge. Sam, do you hear me?" A glint from one bird's eye. "That bad?" "Huh, Nick, that bad?" Nav to pilot howl. "Yes, Sam, that bad." "That bad, huh?" We streaked round a corner in the fading light, and the pipe would surely have clattered to the pavement from the slackened jaw of any local stroller witnessing the spectre of this ancient perambulated ruin as it whizzed by in a split second, bearing within it the latter-day Wright brothers. The ice-blue eyes of Wilbur burning in the head of Connemara grandma, and the ashen face of the twitching Orville scanning in its anguish for a landing strip with ale. Sweeping down in a long anti-clockwise arc, we suddenly emerged into a small township. "We can stop here, Nick." "Please," I squealed, leaping out as soon as we drew up. The crate sat, hissing and ticking. "You should call it lucky," I began, before I realized Sam wasn't with me. I turned. "Fuck my old boots, he was locking it. I mean, who'd want to steal that? It would have to be someone twice as blind as Beckett." Twisting in agony, I looked for the inn entrance, seeing nothing except a long uphill tapering street made up of grey buildings crouched under a huge town hall église affair rising grandly at the top end, a wavering, watery light blinking from its tower. The whole seemed lopsided in the weird gloaming, and I fancied I heard the distorted bell-tower strains of "Hi-ho," heralding the entrance of Snow White, a misshapen Fiona Helmsley leading a septet of ill-willed Quasimodian dwarves. A voice at my shoulder. "This way, Nick." Suddenly a doorway, and a long bar, all chairs and tables down its right-hand side. I wanted to dive in, yelling, "2 pints of Pernod, please," but I had no French money, let alone command of French, and it was left to Sam to bring the bière pression, taken eagerly and poured over a parched gullet to the imaginary sound of trumpets. Sam sipped at his. He had a bladder problem, and on arrival of a second glass, proffered a toast. "God bless Nick," he murmured. A little later, "Why did you say God bless, Sam?" A moment, then the lozenge pout. "Just a word, Nick, like you'd say fuck." Again we talked little, until at the third or fourth ordering, "We really must go, Nick. Henry's an old friend, and we're already late." "Okay, Sam, just one for the swing of the gate." "All right, Nick, I know you drink fast." In no time at all, glued together by the strong pression, the gremlins in full retreat, I was standing in the square, a quite different square, a romantic Pinocchio village with its clock-tower dial a peaceful glowing yellow, and as I hopped into Lucky and flew off with Eagle Pal Sam, somewhere a bird sang.